Have you ever paused to consider who is ultimately accountable for the vast amount of information you encounter daily on the internet, especially when it comes to content that might be inaccurate or even harmful? This question sits at the heart of modern internet governance, influencing everything from social media posts to online news. At its core, intermediary liability determines the legal responsibility of online service providers for content created by third parties. The direct answer is that online platforms generally face significantly less liability for user-generated content compared to traditional publishers. This distinction is crucial and largely stems from their differing roles and levels of editorial control. The fundamental why behind this difference lies in how the law categorizes these entities. A publisher, like a newspaper or a book company, exercises active editorial control over the content it disseminates. This means they review, select, and often edit material before it reaches an audience, making them legally responsible for its accuracy and legality. Online platforms, conversely, are often viewed as mere conduits or hosts for content that users themselves create and upload. In the United States, for example, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act provides broad immunity for online platforms from liability for most third-party content. This legal framework aimed to foster the growth of the Internet by protecting platforms from being overwhelmed by lawsuits related to user actions. However, this immunity is not absolute. When platforms begin to act more like publishers by actively curating, selecting, or materially modifying third-party content, their liability can increase. This is known as the active publisher versus neutral conduit test, and it requires courts to assess the extent of a platform's involvement. Moreover, certain types of illegal content, such as copyright infringement or child exploitation material, are often subject to specific notice and takedown requirements, compelling platforms to remove such content once they are made aware of it. This dual approach aims to balance free expression with the need to address harmful online activities. Understanding this distinction is vital because it explains how platforms operate and why they implement certain policies. For instance, when you see a platform's terms of service or community guidelines, these are often developed in response to their legal responsibilities and the desire to maintain their immunity status. The continuous debate around these legal protections, particularly concerning platforms' content moderation practices, highlights the evolving challenge of balancing free speech, innovation, and user safety in the digital age. Key legal concepts like safe harbor provisions are designed to protect platforms from being treated as publishers, thereby encouraging them to host a wide range of user-generated content without fear of constant litigation. Ultimately, the differentiation between intermediary liability for online platforms and publishers is not just a legal technicality. It profoundly shapes the information landscape we navigate. It impacts how content is created, shared, and moderated online, influencing everything from individual expression to public discourse, all while encouraging platforms to innovate by mitigating the risks associated with hosting user-created content.